Welcome to the MamasteFit YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to be going through a yoga flow to help you prepare for birth and open each of your pelvic levels. There's no one movement that opens the entire pelvis, and so there's a lot of different mobility exercises that we can do to create space in each of the pelvic levels. The top of the pelvis or the pelvic inlet is where your baby first enters or engages into the pelvis, and more bilateral external rotation where both legs are out, so having the knees be wider in both sides. Commonly, all of the birth prep exercises that you probably come across on social media is going to be creating more space in the top of the pelvis. In addition to hip movement, our thoracic spine or how our spine is moving can help to influence how we create space in the pelvis as well. So for the top of the pelvis, more front to back movement of the spine can help to create more space as well. As we move into the middle of the pelvis, this is where our baby is rotating and tends to be the narrowest space of our pelvis as well, particularly the lower mid-pelvis. So if there's areas that we may have baby get kind of stuck up or like caught for a short period of time, it could be located within the mid-pelvis. Commonly, asymmetrical type movements where one leg is doing something differently than the other helps to create space within the mid-pelvis with external rotation or open hip positions, in addition to internal rotation or closed hip positions. And so we want to be able to freely move between the two to create space within the mid-pelvis. For the final portion of the pelvis, we have the pelvic outlet or the bottom of the pelvis, and this opens more with internal hip rotation where knees are in, ankles are out. And this is going to create more space in the bottom of the pelvis for when you're pushing. So in this yoga flow, Casey is going to walk you through different mobility exercises and yoga positions that you can do to create space in each of the pelvic levels. Before we dive into the yoga flow, I want to share that my book, Training for Two, is now available for pre-order. In Training for Two, it discusses how you can use prenatal fitness to help support your movement throughout your pregnancy as you prepare for birth. And we have an entire chapter dedicated to birth preparation exercises. You can check out Training for Two in the notes below, and the book comes out in September of 2024.
Hi, welcome to MamasteFit Yoga on Demand. I'm Casey Backus, physical therapist and yoga instructor, and I have our founder, Gina Conley, here with me for a birth prep kind of hip opening circuit. And so we'll get started right away. We'll start in just a seat to take just a few breaths to kind of start to pull the mind into the body. Even just the words birth prep can evoke a lot of emotion. Perhaps you've had other births that, you have some emotions and feelings about, or you have kind of an expectation of this birth. And so let the eyes close or lower as you sit up tall. Take a long breath in through the nose. And then just exhale normally, so it might be just kind of shallow. Good. Take an even longer breath in this time. And then this time, intentionally get empty. So kind of exhale, 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 almost to the point where you feel baby kind of lift toward the spine. And a few more breaths just like that through the nose. Inhale. Good. Send the tongue to the roof of the mouth through the nose. Exhale all the way empty. One more round of breath, kind of trusting and connecting, tapping into body's ability to use its preparation. And so coming onto all fours to start, and take the knees about as wide as the hips and just start to move a little bit side to side. And so that could look like tail wagging. That might look like the whole system kind of goes side to side. And so then moving the whole pelvis or hip kind of over the right leg and then over the left leg. Usually you'll notice a little bit of tension or stickiness in the back pocket region. And so softening the head and the jaw, kind of working into that. And so just as a moment of comparison here, take the knees a little wider and then push the pelvis side to side. Notice what you feel. Ooh. Pops and cracks. Good. And so as the knees are wider and the feet are closer together, that's more of an external rotation. So that will help baby get into the top of the pelvis. Good. And then bring the knees together here and the feet wide. So this is more of an internal rotation. You might naturally feel sit bones spreading, a little bit of space there. This is what helps baby get all the way out of the outlet or the bottom of the pelvis. Come back to neutral. You'll take the right foot to step outside the right hand. Good. And then maybe even just a little bit wider. You can come back toward me so you have more room on the mat. It's a wider stance than the pelvis. You're going to move in a diagonal, so kind of toward the foot and then coming back toward the knee. Sort of feeling into the front groin a little bit. You can prop the hands up, onto some blocks too to make this a little bit more gentle if the deeper squat isn't really as accessible. But we're moving in a diagonal. Noticing any groin or inner thigh tension that we're feeling. And then from here, the next time you come forward, keep the legs just as they are, pelvis moving toward the right. Hands will walk toward the left some. Keeping the right knee now moving out toward the right. You might even roll onto the pinky toe side of the front foot. So we're really getting that external rotation. Remember, knees wide, feet together. Sorry if I'm tickling. Good. If this feels stable, you might reach forward with the right hand sunk. So we're getting into the lat, that kind of right side body. Nice. Coming on out, bring the right hand down. Walk the hands back forward. And then we'll release this by bringing the hands down to the mat and just reaching the right leg back behind. Good. You can take some movement there with the knee. Moving in both directions. Good. And then just give it a little shake. Good. Switching sides, left leg will come forward, nice out and wide. And then it's that diagonal movement that we're after now. Knee toward heel. Toes can go out a little bit wider. If you feel discomfort in the center of the pelvis with this, just narrow the stance and don't go kind of to that 100% depth of movement. You kind of back it off to the place where you're not symptomatic. Good. Shoulders, neck, jaw, stay relaxed here. Nice big breaths. And then the next time that you come forward, you'll stay. So we're keeping hips moving toward the left, but torso is now going to move kind of in a half moon shape toward the right, with an option to roll onto the front pinky toe side. Nice big external rotation. Left hand reaching out. Good. Couple big breaths in. Good. Left hand comes back. Hands come down and then shake that left leg back behind. Good. Switching direction. If you've got blocks, you might put them under the hands. We're going to come to downward facing dog just to shake the knees out and give them a little bit of relief here. Good. Taking the blocks under the hands kind of shifts the weight back toward the heels. Good. Take the feet a little bit wider and then start to walk the hands back a little bit more. Good. From here, deep bend in the knees, not all the way down to a squat, but just kind of exploring the depth, and then hips come back up and down. Each time maybe easing you toward a nice deep squat. And so I've got a couple blocks here that you could use to kind of bring the floor up to the seat. And so that's an option to stop there. Might come down a little bit lower. And if you're feeling sturdy, you could kind of take the block out altogether. Little balance tip here too. If this is a little precarious, you feel like you're falling backwards, you can take all of these poses with your back to the wall, and the wall is there. So then if you have that sudden feeling like you're going to fall back over. Good. And so pausing, if you feel balanced, hands can come up. You'll take the right hand down and then just spiral the left arm open. Breathing there, that left hand can stay up or it can come to that front of the knee and apply a little bit of pressure, kind of opening up through the knee. Good. If you need a break from the depth of the hips and the knees, feel free to come back to forward fold here. Take a big breath in. We'll come all the way up to stand just to kind of squeeze the glutes here, give the fronts of the hips a little bit of a break, and then coming all the way back down. Hands come down first, and then feet are nice and wide. Hips can come down to the depth that works. Good. Left hand down, right arm goes high. So we're finding that little bit of rotation, and then right hand is free to apply a little bit of pressure back toward the pinky toe, opening through the hips. Good. Coming back down. Good. We'll come into table here. And then this table, you take the knees together, squeezing either a block, a pillow, a little blanket. And so keeping the knees squeezed, we'll just take the feet and take them out wide and then back toward a neutral position. So we're kind of asking those internal rotators to be a little bit more active. You're going to feel this more toward your front pockets and then deep in the pelvis. And so if this is an incredibly difficult movement for you, this is just good information. It doesn't mean that there's anything bad or that that's a bad predictor for birth or anything. It just gives you something that you can kind of work on. Good. The next time that the feet come out wide, squeeze the block, take a big breath in. We're going to find cat pose. Exhale, round the spine high. Big squeeze of the inner thighs. For 3, 2, 1, come back through center, release the block. I'll take it, you can birth it. You could take the knees wide, come back to child's pose. Good, and just a few breaths to be. Some of these movements might feel more natural, like this external rotation, child's pose, or like a butterfly stretch, or lunging with the knees wider. Internal rotation isn't as big a part of our functional movement, and yet it's a huge part of birth. So it's something that we really don't want to leave out. We want to make sure that that is included. Good. If you need a few more breaths, feel free to stay in child's pose. Otherwise, we're going to come back to downward facing dog and play a little bit with that rotation. And so feet hip distance apart, probably wider as pregnancy goes on. And then take the toes together and the heels wide. Yeah, they don't have to be a toes turned in, not as much to get together. Sorry. Good. And all we're thinking about here is sit bones wide. And so imagine you could send breath into your sit bones. You can envision the diamond-shaped pelvic floor between your sit bones, tailbone, and pubic bone. That's expanding as you inhale. A few more breaths just to be. Stay if you can. Feel free to come down if you need a break between any of these. And then we'll just switch the feet. Heels together, toes wide, kind of like a dancer, like a plie-ish position. And they don't have to be super close together. I did it again, sorry. But you just notice that natural tendency for sit bones to come closer together when heels are in and toes are out. And so really just familiarizing your brain with the differences there. For 3, 2, 1. Come back to hands and knees and just some free movement here. One of the neat ways that we can play with internal rotation is by creating an asymmetry in our foundation. And so taking the knee up on a block, the left knee especially, naturally is creating some internal rotation in this front thigh. And so shifting the hip over that knee, you'll feel a bit of an opening in the back pocket. Good. I like to add the left elbow coming down if that feels accessible. That just gives a little bit more love in the back of the rib cage. And so just breathing into this space. You may notice the tendency to shift away from the block, kind of your brain telling you to shift away from that sensation. But as best you can, we're kind of shifting over. Good. And then keeping the knees as they are. We'll come back onto all fours. And then we're just going to take a little bit of a twist, taking the left arm high here. So we're kind of twisting toward that leg. So it's kind of moving in toward that. And then come back down. Just kind of in and out. Notice how that changes the hip. Yep. So Gina made that kind of natural, intuitive adjustment to bring the right hand under the face a little bit. Just allowing her body to remain shifted over that hip. Good. And then bringing the left hand down, we'll switch sides. And so you definitely, or most likely, I guess, will feel some differences from right side to left. Naturally, this side might be a little bit more accessible, but we're doing that same thing down onto the forearm, pelvis shifting over the block some. And so we're looking for internal rotation, and it doesn't seem like much is happening, but it's happening deep in the hip socket, creating some space. Might even take that right foot a little bit wider, not by much, but just a little bit. Yep. Big breaths into this back pocket. If you've been clenching, you'll notice it here by being some tenderness. And come back through center. Left hand stays down. Right arm's going to spiral open into some twisting, keeping that pelvis over the good. I'm going to shake that out in either downward facing dog or table. And coming into our final kind of birth prep posture, and it'll be Virasana or hero pose, which the knees come down to table and the feet come wide, much like they were before. And then the hips can sit back either toward a block. So I have a block on its mid-level. If that feels okay, it could come down. Doesn't necessarily make it, better if it's not coming down. You just kind of like find that right place. And then a little bit of hug between the inner thighs. They don't have to be touching, but we've got a soft blanket here, just as a little bit of cueing to kind of keep that happening. And then as we sit up tall, hands come to the lap, and we'll finish with just some breaths. And maybe even just closing or lowering the eyes here as the knees press together. We sit up tall, we feel the sit bones wide. A nice sturdy open base. Tailbone lengthens down. Low back is long. You might notice some noises of digestion or like a sigh or a yawn. Kind of all nice signals that the nervous system is unwinding. If you feel comfortable in this place, feel free to stay for a few minutes into meditation, kind of into just some check-in time. Notice the difference that just a short amount of movement can make. We're so grateful to be along your journey with you. Namaste.
We hope that you enjoy this birth preparation yoga flow and that it helps you feel like your hips are a little bit more mobile and your spine feels a little bit better after doing it. If you want more yoga flows like this, be sure to check out our prenatal yoga program. We have it synced to each trimester with a first, second, and third, and you can also bundle all three together to save even more. If you want more birth preparation exercises that are on more the strengthening side with like weights and bands, you can check out our birth prep workout program, which is a standalone program that you can add to your current workout routine. Or you can join our prenatal fitness programs where we incorporate those birth preparation exercises into daily workouts. Our prenatal fitness program is offered in an app, which is a list of exercise with short demo videos. And this is a great option for somebody that likes to work out at their own pace and likes to work out in a gym setting. And then we also have our prenatal on-demand program, which is more similar to these type of workouts, where it's a video that you follow and work out with at the same time. Both programs incorporate birth preparation exercises, and then we also have the yoga program, which is going to be more of those traditional yoga flows. You can check out all of our prenatal fitness programs on our website at MamasteFit.com and use code YouTube10 to get 10% off. You can also bundle our prenatal fitness with our childbirth education to save even more.